Welcome, nobody. And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm taking minutes today, so talk slow.
Okay. Additions to the agenda. I have one. There's a request for the EOC for emergency expenditures, which we can talk about. Anybody else have anything? Okay. So I need a motion to add that to the agenda. Well, I made the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded to add the EOC request to the agenda under new business. Right. So we have there, my remarks. Dog licenses are due now. If you don't have your dog licensed, I believe there is like a late fee when you come in to do your license. Homestead declarations are due by the 17th, and the property tax installment is due May 3rd. And that's not okay. Sorry, Brad Furland, you're gonna have to wait. Guest, we have none. We don't have like anybody here, including half the select. Open public comments. Seeing none, we move on. Planning Commission, solar array request for preferred site. I know Janet and Patty were here at 6 o'clock because they thought the meeting started at 6 o'clock. And so.
Did I hear someone out there? Did you hear them?
The chair or something.
I did not.
We were in the parking lot.
Patty and Janet
I
were?
think so.
There was nobody
Oh,
out
when
there
you got
when
here.
I pulled in.
So I guess we'll wait for them. We'll come back to that. Let's approve the regular meeting minutes of March 20th if we can. Do we have enough people
No,
here that were in attendance?
I
No,
wasn't here.
because you
so
weren't here.
no.
So we're gonna push that to later on in the meeting. Jeff should be here in 20 minutes or so.
Someone's
But-
out there.
We may be done by the time this is.
All over.
So, there they are.
Oh,
You wanna do bills and warrants real quick?
sure.
Might as well.
I move that we authorize payment of the following warrants. 9T accounts payable for $49,195.76. 12S payroll, $9,539.49. And 13S payroll, $11,534.43.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the warrants as read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so we got that done. Come on up, ladies.
That's the correct one.
Thanks for being here early.
No problem, and we got coffee too.
Better
so
than being
life
late.
is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna get coffee. We realized that.
I take mine with milk and bread.
Well, you know what? I would have taken orders, but nobody was here. So. I thought it was kind of strange that it said on the website the meeting was at 6 because it was always at 6:30.
Yeah, it's still at 6:30.
Okay.
We gotta fix things. So the solar array
Mhm.
and the request for the preferred site. You guys spoke with Ralph and was it Steve that was there that night or Christine? Or?
Steve.
Okay. So
And we did explain to them at the time that we were redoing the town plan and just beginning to look at the maps. And both of the maps all show ag land on both of those sites. And then I think in the town plan that we currently have that is approved, it's also shown as ag land. And there is language in the town plan that says that we can't do solar arrays on ag land.
Well, industrial on ag land,
Yeah.
right. And, there are a lot of people that say we don't have a town plan because we're working on the town plan and we haven't finished it. But until we finish this town plan, the town plan that we've had for 5 or 6 years now is our town plan that we have to go by, and that clearly states that prime farmland cannot be used for anything industrial.
And my mistake was in the minutes of the meeting when we actually did a motion. It said because we're now looking at the town plan and that we're revising the town plan. We forgot about the part where we already have, as you said, we have an active town plan that's been approved. And from the maps it's pretty cut and dried. And from the maps that we've been looking at, you've seen those maps.
Yep.
They're all the
It
new.
just happened to happen.
And the new ones are, the only way in which they're significantly different from the old ones is that they're more detailed in terms of the kind of ag land that we have. But they're still shown as prime agricultural soil.
So,
So we didn't take a vote on it. We just passed it off to you guys.
Yeah, we kind of kicked the can down
Which-
the road a little bit, but.
Well, it would go to you guys, even if we took a vote
Yeah.
on it, it still would come
Yeah.
here anyway, so.
Yep.
But, you know, the planning commission felt that we should clear that up, that there is indeed a town plan, and that is what the town plan says.
so did everybody get a chance to look
So-
at the maps of where these two proposed arrays
It
are?
says it can't be used for agricultural.
It says to protect the land and preserve it.
Right.
Prime agricultural soils. I think there were some snippets I highlighted. Let's see. I could find it pretty quick.
Because I know their language in this letter is that soils at the site will not be removed, damaged, or taken out of production. Well, the taken out of production isn't, it will be.
Well, there was
Yes.
a conversation that, you know, there has been some success with sheep farmers using land that has solar arrays on it for grazing.
Do we
but
have a lot of?
We don't have a lot of sheep farmers, so that was my
I thought
next
you were a
line.
sheep farmer.
You know, it's mostly
there's-
dairy farmers.
Yeah.
And Jeff Dunkley is using an adjoining parcel as he's renting it from Steve Gleason.
Yeah.
He's using both of those, isn't he?
I think there's a piece of one that he's not, but it is still prime, it is still ag land.
And the other thing that was worrisome was when they showed us the parcels and they showed us their preliminary maps, they showed a road going right through the middle of one of the fields, and Jeff said that that's not where the road is is along the edge.
Is that the
So-
one on the south end of Pond Road?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's this map here, and that's the proposed road. And the actual road runs kind of along the
The
creek here.
side,
further.
right.
Yeah, and we did have some discussion about that because when I was in the legislature, there was months of discussion on ancient roads. So that might still be in on the maps. It might be an ancient road and still showing up on the maps. So that probably will be fixed on the new maps that we're doing.
Because didn't they have to do something to keep those ancient roads?
They
or
did.
They were gonna.
They did. The legislation was passed
disappear?
that the town had to identify them as roads within a certain amount of time, class 4 roads, within a certain amount of time, and if they didn't, they would disappear.
gone, yeah.
And that has long passed.
So, and the other piece to this too is that they're looking for a preferred site, which by definition, outside of a joint letter coming from the select board and the planning commission, this doesn't qualify as a preferred site in any way, shape, or form from the statute. The only way it can be considered a preferred site is if we sign a letter saying that it is. But if you look at what a preferred site is in the statute, it doesn't qualify.
And certainly that would be, and that was a discussion that we had as well, is that with the information that we were given on the maps that we were given, there was no way of determining whether it ever could be a preferred site because the maps were still incomplete.
Yeah.
So,
Right, and for me, you know, when you look at the history of this town, our people who came long before us were always so careful to make sure that they were preserving farmland. And that's how we have the Farmland Protection Fund. It's always been very, very important to the people in this town to make sure that we're preserving our history, because it's what it is, it's our history.
Yeah, and the other piece to it too is where these both arrays are situated, they're gonna both be very visible from Pond Road. And it's my opinion that there are several other sites in Vernon that are usable, that aren't prime ag land, that are old gravel pits and things like that, they may not have the perfect exposure like a piece of farmland will, but they still have good exposure to do something like this. So I'm not in support of either of these sites to be utilized for solar
Wasn't there
or anything else other than ag land.
a site going into a pit, a gravel pit?
Mhm.
That one
Correct,
went.
but
Yes.
that that's
That
was a
was last year.
different owner.
Right,
That was the LaRock
the
pit.
rocks, yeah.
And I
But
don't,
yes.
we really don't, we talked about that also, we really don't know what the status of that is, it's still kind of laying in limbo.
It really hasn't gone.
Yeah.
It really hasn't
Okay,
gone
because they've
anywhere
been
from
back
what I
a couple
understand.
times to talk about it again, but then
Yeah. So the long and the short of it for us as a select board is Ralph wants to get on the agenda from Green Lantern to see us next week. If we have kind of an agreement tonight that this doesn't make any sense, then we might as well not waste Ralph's time to come in for our next agenda and just say, the town isn't in support of it, the select board's not in support of it, due to it going against the town plan and the preservation of ag land. So, what's the pleasure of the board?
I am not in favor of this either. I was at the meeting, was able to get some answers about that, and I don't see any benefit for the people in the town, and we're giving up usable agricultural land, so I am also not in support of this.
There was some conversation that the way the solar panels are built, I guess the posts go into the ground, and we're not really taking away farmland, because in 20 years when the solar panels are no good, the posts can come back out of the ground, but it's a concern that that's not going to happen in 20 years, and the decisions that we make today are going to last long into the future, so.
Yep.
Not we make today, but I meant at our planning commission.
Sure. Yep. Jean, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm all about preserving agricultural land. So, for that reason and going against what the town plan is, I would not support using the agricultural land for this.
Okay. I don't think we really need to make a motion to it, but we can send Ralph a letter that the select board has made the decision to not support these two solar arrays as preferred sites, or, to have them on those pieces of property, that we feel that there's other sites that are available in Vernon that would be more in line with the town plan and the actual definition of a preferred site.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I just think it makes a stronger message if you take a vote.
Sure.
I mean, you've all let your voice, your
Right.
concern be heard anyway, but then you have it on record.
Who would like to make a motion?
I'm never good at these things. I move that we not support the two solar projects that have been presented tonight.
Okay.
Second?
Moved and seconded to not support the two solar arrays from Green Lantern as presented tonight. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? There we go. So we'll let Ralph know that he doesn't need to attend unless he wants to come back and try to convince us otherwise. All right. We're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time I'll bring you a copy.
Okay.
Michelle,
perfect.
shocked. Don't you have that town plan memorized by now?
Just about.
I'm thinking.
It's her nightmare.
So the NDCAP appointment, we're gonna skip tonight. We have a candidate possibly that is interested in doing that. The EOC request is the other piece of new business that we added tonight. Let's see. So we're writing, or in the midst of trying to write an LEOP, the Local Emergency Operation Plan at the EOC. Part of that plan is to have a set amount of funds established that the EOC can expend in case of an emergency. So Dave, as our EMD, can say, I need, 5,000 bags of sand. And he can just go do it because it's in our LEOP and we've already approved it. So you see that at 3.4. And, really, it's kind of a useless number, because obviously if we need $10,000 worth of sandbags, we're gonna do it to, take care of Vernon Green or if something floods, but we need to set a number for the use of this LEOP for the state.
Did he
Yeah, did he
have an
give us
idea
any
that he wanted, what he
indication
thought?
of? Because it doesn't really
He
matter. It's
didn't.
just it really is just a
formality?
number.
Mm.
Because we're gonna do what we need to do in the case of an emergency, so. So we need an expenditure number, and then we need a number that if it goes over, that he needs to get, select board approval.
And I don't know if there's a space in there that you could say up to your entire article. If he goes over his budget, so then he has to come to the select board. He may be able to do that.
Okay. But that wouldn't be, we're not sticking a number to it then, we're just saying up to your budget total.
Whatever's left in your line item article.
Hmm.
The line
But,
item, because
um,
it's say not his whole budget, right?
No, because his budget's it's not lined out for,
Oh, it's not.
No.
different things, it's just a lump sum. Because it's only $15,000, so, there's,
And is his pay in that one
yes.
too, so you kind of want to exclude that.
Well, he hasn't really paid himself much. He's been utilizing that money to actually run the EOC. So, when in reality, that $15,000 should all be salary.
Then we did get a grant to cover his salary this year.
Yeah. But he's been kind enough to take a reduced salary and utilize the monies to have us be ready in case of an emergency. But so what do we want to do here? I like the idea of, letting him go up to his budget total and then have to contact a select board member after that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Are you saying whatever the remainder is at that time?
Right.
Because like I said, it is kind of a,
Yeah. Is that going to please the state as far as this goes, or?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He didn't indicate, it could be zero.
Yeah.
Number could be zero.
Yeah.
I think that there's a policy in the town that you can only spend up to a certain amount of money without the approval of the select board. And it's not 50, I want to say it's,
It's 500, I think.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a lot of money.
That's why they're doing a special, if there's a tornado coming
It's
through town and
different. This
you
is
can't
different.
reach 3 select board members, what can you do? And
Yeah.
that's what,
Yeah, that's
and
the second part
it could
of
be
this.
nothing, you're not allowed to do anything.
Because Dave can, in this LEOP, Dave can contact any select board member. It doesn't matter who it is. He can call Chris and say, hey, Chris, we got this emergency. I can't get a hold of anybody else. Can I spend $10,000 right now to get sandbags in front of Vernon Green? And Chris can say yes, according to this LEOP. But, yeah, I mean, that doesn't put a number on anything. It just says that he can spend up to his budget. And
Balance.
anything above that. Which, I mean, that's kind of difficult though, as I'm thinking about it, because if you're in the middle of an emergency, you're gonna call Cindy as the town treasurer and say, how much do I have left on my budget? And then you're gonna call one of us and say,
I know.
what do I do now?
What put a
Yeah, and
number
if
in
it's the
there.
end of the fiscal year and something happens for somebody who went over this budget, there's problems with that, or you could just pick a number.
I like random numbers because it just needs to appease the state, basically.
268.29.
He'll remember that.
Yeah.
I would say, based on kind of the budget and where we've been spending, because we've been underspending that line item even on a regular
We
basis.
did last year, but there was money put aside for the move.
Yeah,
But no, this year will come out probably with 0.
okay. So I would suggest maybe a total incident number of 2,500. And any purchases above that need to be approved by the select board. Make sense? Okay. So I make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to set the total expenditure of $2,500 in support of an ongoing incident for the EOC with purchases over the amount of $2,500 needing approval of the select board and/or a select board member. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are all set. The circulator pump on the boiler, we approved an expense of what? It was like 400?
It was, yeah, he estimated about 300 until he went back and looked at.
Okay. So the expense ended up being 800 for the circulator pump, which it's done. We have hot water and it goes places and it keeps the building warm.
Oh, yeah,
So,
it sure does.
at least this side. So the town office energy audit, the consideration of the wood boiler that we had Wyndham Wood Heat come talk to us about.
Wait, was that a motion to approve the expenditure of $792 for the circulator pump?
Do we need to do that?
I think we do, because
It's already
it's way
spent.
over 300 that you approved last time.
Okay. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $792 for the circulator pump on the boiler.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the expense of $792 for the circulator pump. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right. So the wood heat boiler thing, I'm not terribly fond of the idea. What do you guys think?
Right where it says the ash has to be cleaned out. I'm sorry.
We're gonna put the wood heat boiler in the library.
Okay, I'll have the volunteers do it. I'm sure that ought to bring them on.
It's gonna be.
So that's a concern, because that's a real regular maintenance issue right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I presume it's an automatic feed.
yes.
We don't have to go down and dump bags in, right?
No, it isn't, because I did ask that question when they were here. That's right, because you weren't at the last meeting.
No.
Okay, so it is an automatic feed, so there would be a silo of
I
some
read there was
sort.
a silo, yeah.
And there's an automatic feed of wood chips and or pellets that would go into the wood boiler. And it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of
Concerned about that.
moving parts, but
The fact that they said there's multiple ones around us that
are failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it's a different brand, I don't see why we should be taking that chance on something that
That,
seems relatively new and,
that was a concern of mine as well.
yeah.
Because the only one that I know that's been in existence for a long time is Leland and Gray. They have a wood chip system that they've been utilizing in the school for a very, very long
Mhm.
time. But they also have a full-time maintenance staff
Yeah.
of 3 or 4 guys that
Exactly.
are there morning, noon, and night. So if the auger fails and there's no heat,
Yeah.
Fix on.
then they can go out there and clean out the auger, or do whatever needs to be done to keep it going. We don't have that.
I think there was also some bigger issues on that audit report that should be looked at. The
Yeah.
insulation and those things before we start jumping into
Yep.
something like this.
Yeah, you're definitely throwing good money after bad if you put a new heating system in and you don't have insulation. So, which is where we're at. So, we will table this for now, and we'll start working towards the important parts of the energy audit right now, as far as getting the building insulated and all that kind of thing.
And the caulking.
Yes, that's very important. Thanks a lot for that. I totally forgot about that guy until just now. He was out of my brain. And he's back.
Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Sir Chair.
All right, so the only thing that we need to carry over, because we're basically done, public participation, agenda items only. Seeing none. Correspondence and town admin report, please.
Nothing in addition to what we've got.
Okay, very good. So, you also got this in your packets of correspondence that kind of shows where we're at to date on the budget. So you can see where everybody's budgets land.
Todd had asked if everybody received the email that he sent to me. Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, about the trailer, we're gonna talk about that at our April 17th meeting.
Okay.
Because I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't know what the trailer is, so I gotta figure that out first.
It is sitting right behind the fire station. Just
Okay.
So I'm gonna take a look at it.
I will do that. So upcoming meetings, effective property tax appeals of VLCT training. Sounds really riveting. May 1st in Rutland, May 8th in Burlington. Next regular meeting, April 17th, 6:30. WRC Energy Plan Public Hearing, 4/9 at the Townsend Town Hall, 4/12 at the Westminster Institute. And then the next very, very important one, please mark this on your calendar. Those of you at home, please mark this on your calendar. PUC public hearing is April 12th. Info session starts at 6, meeting starts at 7 at the BUHS multipurpose room. This is to discuss the sale of Vermont Yankee to North Star and your chance to give your public input on that sale. And that's all I have. We are adjourned.